Greetings and welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. I am W.D. Foster Graham, the book review editor for Insight News, and I am your host for this Book Chat Thursday. The Conversation of Al McFarlane covers a variety of topics, subjects, and robust conversations that all pertain to the African and African American diaspora. Now, we have recently exceeded 1,000 subscribers, and we're shooting for 2,000. So, if you watch checking out Conversation Now McFarlane, hey, like, share, and subscribe. Now, for our Book Chat Thursday, today our guest is Ms. Sideena Grace. She is a Minnesota native, a scientist, engineer, author, speaker, and founder of Grace Innovations, LLC. With a strong interest in STEAM, she pursued a bachelor's degree in applied physics, engineering, emphasis from Hamline University, and a master's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from MIT. Now, as she pursues her passion as a rising entrepreneur, she's equally committed to inspiring others by igniting young minds and transforming learning into an enjoyable adventure. So it's my great pleasure to introduce this amazing individual, Ms. Sideena Grace.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. And welcome to the Conversation with Al McFarlane. See, well, to start off, why don't tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so born and raised in Minnesota, attended Hamline University, as what you mentioned, and then followed that through with my aerospace engineering degree at MIT. And during that time, I developed my passion for human spaceflight. And post graduation, I decided I wanted to create a company dedicated to creating inclusive health and wellness products for both Earth and space, as well as doing STEAM advocacy so that we can get more children to have exposure to STEAM so that they too can pursue these careers.
Wonderful. So, would you consider your mentors when you were growing up?
I had a lot of mentors. Well, one, I would say my parents. They did a great job of providing great examples for me. And then I had some teachers and some professors that I really looked up to. And my role models, I would say, were Mae Jamison. So people that I didn't really get to meet, but people that I saw that looked like me.
Well, that always makes us a difference, especially as you're writing a children's book, and just it's so important for us as BIPOCs to have those images that look like us. So, speaking of, you said Grace Innovations. Tell us more.
Yeah, so Grace Innovations, I founded the company last year. I've always been innovative. So I've created products since the age of 14. And so I had this product, a pain relief device that I dedicated a lot of years to. And so when I got to grad school, I wanted to make this product be used in space. And so that's what made me want to create this company, as well as the other products that I created. And then I wanted to go out into schools and provide mentorship, representation for the children to be able to see someone that looks like them.
And that makes a huge difference. I can say I was sharing with you earlier, I'm a baby boomer. I was a child in 1950. So, seeing black folks in in space was something of a foreign concept, especially in the 50 sci-fi movies. There were no black people anywhere to be seen. But of course, Star Trek changed that. You saw Lieutenant Uhura as a bridge officer, and that was a game changer. Then, of course, he saw it open the way for persons like you mentioned, Dr. Mae Jamison, as well as Guy Bluford and Ronald McNair.
Yeah.
Because these are some important conversations to have, because we don't always talk about so much about blacks in terms of aeronautics and astrophysics. Could
Yes.
you expand upon that?
Yes, well, growing up, I didn't see any people who looked like me, any scientists and engineers who looked like me. I actually talked about it in my commencement speech when I graduated from Hamline. I was the first Black woman to graduate with my degree. And so growing up and not seeing that and being able to still thrive because of the support of my parents, my family, mentors, and those who encouraged me really made me want to change the narrative that I got when I was younger, that, oh, I'm going to be the first Black woman in space. And to think about that, and now know the information that I know, it took years to think outside of that box, because I didn't think it was possible. I didn't think anyone like me liked science as much or engineering as much, or was able to pursue a career in it. So I created the book because I really wanted children to see that, hey, someone looks like me. They also do other things outside of science and engineering. I can pursue multiple different passions. But when it comes time for them to graduate college and think about the careers that they want to pursue, it's not just curiosity. I always talk about moving the curiosity to reality so that they can pursue what they really want to pursue.
That is so true, Sideena. And as we were talking, I was also thinking about the movie Hidden Figures, because since we are standing on the shoulders of those who broke those barriers before us. Uh, Tell us what your impressions are of that movie about persons like Katherine Johnson.
Yeah, so that movie came out during the time I was in high school. I remember going to that movie, and then at the time they had people who came to the movie and you could ask questions. So people who were engineers and things like that. But during that movie, it really fueled a spark in me to pursue science and to pursue engineering. It made me feel seen. And that right there, that pushed me, that propelled me to look at different careers in STEAM. And so that movie really made an impact. And today it still makes an impact. People ask me about that all the time, and I get very excited, as well as, thinking about different jobs and stuff and possibly being in the same rooms as those women were. It just brings feelings that are sometimes indescribable. But I'm very grateful for the work that they have done so that I can walk into rooms and do the work that I need to do.
Yes, indeed. So now you mentioned STEAM. So though for those of our viewers, who are parents, with parents, especially when you have children coming up, could you break down what STEAM is?
Yes, it's science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So it's different than STEM because it adds the art component, which is something that I really want kids to feel like they can pursue multiple things. If you want to be an artist, you like to paint, you like to sing, you like to write, well, you can do those things too. And so that's why I did that in my book.
Yeah. So that being said, I know that your book, Adventures with Sideena, the ABCs of Space, has also gotten a lot of positive attention and stuff. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so this has been an amazing journey for me as a first time author, um, being around a community of people who look like me, Black people who look like me, who are authors, and just surrounding me and encouraging me and supporting me. And it's been just a great journey because I've been able to focus on giving back, and not doing this journey alone. But my book, Adventures with Sideena, ABCs in Space, the idea came to me one, I wanted to create that narrative of a person of color or a Black woman, something that kids relate to. And two, I really wanted to teach children what I've learned since I love human space flight and what it entails, what's out there, what are other things other than just stars, like mission control, who are the people on the ground, as well as creating a book that's easy to read, easy to learn concepts. I have adults tell me, I've learned new concepts. What's a quasar? And as well as the poetry aspect of it to help kids remember. And so that's what helped me want to create that book, so that when I go into schools, I can leave a piece of me with them that they can continue to look at over the years and years to come.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell me about what your creative process was in putting this book together.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to write a book. I actually wrote a book in second grade for like a little class project. And my mom has always encouraged me, you should write a book, you should write a book. And so, I finally listened and I went through with it. The process was fairly quick for me. I was able to create my ideas, I was able to write it pretty quickly. So it didn't take like a couple years or a year, it took a span of a few months. And there, were a couple challenges in terms of like copyright and figuring out those things outside of the illustration and writing piece. But it was a pretty good process, and it's definitely prepared me for more books to come.
So that means we have some more in store. Do you have some in queue?
Yes, I want to make a series. I want to take children on an adventure where they can learn all types of stuff, build all types of curiosities, skills, excitements, just really making it well rounded so that everyone feels like they have something to pull.
That's wonderful because there can never be enough children's books, and there can be enough diverse children's books. And so now when you're going from school to school or place to place, and the children are there, tell me about that experience. How you engage with them, especially when it comes to as a woman of color, and say and as a role model.
Yeah, well, I've gone to many schools. I've almost lost count. I'm past my 5,000 children mark in the last 3 months. But when I go to schools, I am always in awe. They're so welcoming, they're so loving, and it just really motivates me to keep on going back. They're so curious and they have questions, and they remind me of when I was young like that. And so it motivates me to go all out. And with the help of my parents and family, they help me set up. So I always have a backdrop, helmets, things that they can look at and feel and touch, not just thinking, but I actually touched something that reminds me about space, a helmet, a telescope. One kid told me, this is the first time I've seen a telescope ever. And so I go in and I have something for all of them, whether it's just reminding them that they are capable of anything, or taking video games and seeing how it relates to engineering and stuff. So I try my best to reach all the kids. And it's not just STEAM schools. I try to reach every corner, schools that don't have the programs and the resources, students who aren't just in advanced classes, but some students who are level 4. And so it just makes me very happy to make that difference and make that change in their lives.
Yeah. And yes, and that's something that's even more important now more than ever. And so with that in mind, I'd like to ask you about you have a quote here. It says, do your best and let God do the rest. And how has that quote impacted your life?
Yes. I tell people all the time, like, I'm very blessed to be where I'm at, but the journey wasn't easy. And my parents would tell me that over and over and over, just do your best and let God do the rest. Sometimes all it takes is just to try. You don't have to do it perfect, just show up.
Right.
And so I hold that with me because I'm not alone in this journey. God is always there with me and he will get me through it. And so my best is what I can give. And if that's 40%, then he'll cover the 60%. So that's what I do. And so I tell other people to think of it like that. Just show up, do what you can, and watch God work his miracle. So, yes.
Exactly. Exactly. Because you say that's part of that, that's part of that faith journey as we talk about.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so tell us about, I guess, your academic journey, because we're looking at astrophysics, aeronautics,
Yeah.
and from most of the time you're thinking, okay, you really have to bring your A game in this field. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey. Starting off with my bachelor's, like I said, I was the only Black woman in my department, so that
Mhm.
was different. I had to show up. I had to learn. I had to navigate with really no idea of what it looks like to be the only Black woman in that department.
Mhm.
But I'm so happy that despite that transition or the challenges that I sourced out people who could help me, people who saw my potential, people who surrounded me, shared their stories, encouraged me, and got me to the next level, which was going to MIT. Um, and with academia, there's always challenges for whatever reason. But again, you know, having that experience of only being the only Black woman and finding support really helped me when I got to grad school, because I was like, okay, I know where I need to get help from, and that's okay. And so that it was a very good experience with bonding with people and people encouraging me. And like I said, it was a blessing to be there. And there's challenges with everything, but I'm so grateful for overcoming, completing, achieving, and pushing.
And that's what it's all about. And I know with my books, I was given by mentors, never give up.
Never.
Indeed, just never give up. Um, so now we're gonna like to just take a moment to at least to share at least one of your excerpts for now, and maybe share one for later. So I think I saw you had your book here, so we
Yeah,
love to
always
have.
on me.
Okay, please share.
Yeah, so I'm sharing the last page, page
Mhm,
27, and
mhm,
it's what's next. And so this is what I read after I'm done with the book. Now that you've learned your ABCs and about space, explore your dreams at your own pace. With knowledge as your compass and curiosity as your drive, the wonders of the universe are forever by your side. So thanks for coming on this journey with me. And remember, the next person in space is who you could be. Thank you.
mhm. And thank you, Sideena. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, going back to, I want you to think back for a moment. From where you are now, what advice would you give your 12-year-old self?
Great question. Well, I think it's the advice that I give to all the students that I talk to.
Mhm,
I break it down to three things.
mhm,
One, always ask questions. There's people who have the same questions as you. If you don't know something, um, ask questions and be nice to yourself and be nice to others who also ask questions. So that's the first thing, because you'll always be learning, as we know.
mhm.
The second thing is to read. It's really important to read. That's how we learn, and that's how we're able to share more information with others. So that's the other thing. And the last thing is to have a good character. I tell the kids, no matter what you want to be, I hear kids tell me, Sideena, I want to be an astronaut. And I'm like, you can definitely be an astronaut.
Mhm.
But no matter what you do, have a good character. Learn how to treat people. Are you nice to yourself? Are you nice to others? Do you help others? Do you build with others? How is your spirit, and how is that reflected? And so that's the things that I would say for my 12-year-old self.
Oh, and that's excellent advice. I thought about asking what I was like at 18, because we never know
Yeah,
what life has in store with us. We never know what hand we're going to be dealt.
exactly.
Um, so, in your journey here, what were some of the challenges that you dealt with? One of them was being the only Black woman, oftentimes in your classroom or in your field. What were some of the other challenges that you faced with, and how you overcame those challenges?
I think, a challenge that I think we can all relate to is learning who you are.
Mhm,
And that's something that I really emphasize to the children. No matter what you go through, no matter what anyone says, know who you are. You are unique, you're capable, you can do all things. And so I think that was something, going into college, 18 years old, fresh adult, and just learning who I am outside of high school, I think that was kind of one of the challenges, and being mindful of what you absorb. I think I was ready to just absorb and excited, but now that I'm older, just learning how to filter what you absorb, what's good for you, what's not good for you, what you need to listen to, what you need to kind of table. And so I would say that was kind of one of the core things, is who am I listening to? Because you can't listen to everyone.
Mhm.
And so that was something that was challenging. And when I started to overcome that, I saw myself differently. I faced the challenges differently. I asked for help differently. And I sure did prepare who I wanted around me differently.
That's so true. And I guess I want to piggyback on that. So if you can like tell me what the importance is of the people that you surround yourself with when you're growing up as well as now.
Yes, the people, I tell them, the people that you hang around can tell you about your future. And I think that's something that we've all heard. Are those people encouraging you to go to the next level? Are they encouraging you to stay put and be content with where you're at without growing? I think it was so important for me, because in times where I didn't feel like I should be pursuing this degree, and times where I felt like I was struggling and that fully defined me when it didn't, they were there to tell me, hey, I struggled too, or this doesn't define you. I've seen the work that you've put in, I've seen the A's that you've got, right? And so I think having those people around me and being really intentional about those people that could pour into me is the reason why I'm able to pour into children on the thousandth level scale, without taking away or leading them astray. And so that was really important. I would say to younger people, who pours into you now is who determines who you will pour into later. So if someone's pouring into you discouragement, feeling stuck, feeling like you're no good, you will then pour into other people because you'll be projecting. So I project light because I had amazing stars around me.
Oh, which begs the question for me. What was your neighborhood like growing up?
Yes, my neighborhood growing up, I am very fortunate to have parents who um, worked very hard to provide a life for me that gave me opportunity, that gave me the only thing to focus on was school and nothing other than challenges that unfortunately some kids face at an early age. And so just being able to grow up in a safe space, a positive space, a space where my parents are encouraging me. They're making sure I'm good. They're surrounding me with people that they trust to instill greatness in me. And so that was definitely my neighborhood growing up. And just seeing also my parents do that to other people, other kids. They always have angel kids with them. They have additional, I have additional siblings,
Ah,
because they've been parents to so many different kids. And so that was my upbringing. And then I'll add also, my grandmother was a foster care mom. And so I got to see the other side of what I didn't grow up in. And so that instilled in me to want to help, to decenter myself, from always being what do I need to what are others going through and how can I help from my upbringing.
that is so true. And that is so true. I acknowledge your parents and your grandmother for the amazing role models that they are for you.
Mhm.
And so I would ask this too, because I think we're thinking about, you know, paying it forward and
Yeah.
how we impact kids. And so,
Mhm.
so if we're going on like on a global scale here,
Yeah.
how would you say you can impact change in the world? Because we all know kind of the different things that are going on in the news and all that type of energy. How can we, as you say, replace that energy, in a positive way?
Yeah. I think of change in the future is what we plant. So when I go to these schools, I'm planting seeds. That's what my mom tells me. You're planting seeds. No matter how you feel, even if you're discouraged that day, you're planting seeds. And that's how I think of change. If we're encouraging the youth and supporting our elders and learning from them, then we will see that change on a large scale. It's like I said, it's not about seeing people that you just see, but it's about going and searching for people that don't see you. And so that's how I think that we can change things on a global level, and working together. Because going to these schools, I might, encourage them to pursue whatever career they have, but then they might turn around and go into schools too and encourage other kids. So even if I get 5 out of the 5,000 and they get all 5,000, that's 25,000. I think that's what can really help change.
And that may, yes, because we never know who we're going to touch.
Yes.
We really don't. And I guess we also never know who's watching us, because no matter where we are, I think there's always a child somewhere that's watching us, watching our lives, and watching what we do. I know that because my son was watching me as he was growing up. And so those things are very important. So that being said, we're going to pause and take a little station break, and then we're going to come back for some more discussion.
Awesome. Sounds good.
If you've not done so, consider getting vaccinated against the COVID-19 virus. At vaccine.gov, enter your zip code, your preferred vaccine type, and you'll get a map with locations eager to serve you. Getting vaccinated saves lives. Vaccine.gov can help you do your part.
Welcome back to the Conversation with Al McFarlane, and I'm here with our amazing guest, Ms. Sideena Grace. And during station break, I was thinking about one of my first questions about you with Grace Innovations. So where do you see your company going, let's say 10 years from now?
Oh, wow. In an ideal world, I think my company can be a company that has expanded beyond Minnesota, and has grown to be a great contribution to human space flight, whether it's in the private sector or in the commercial sector. And when I mean commercial sector, that's like other companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin and stuff that are also trying to contribute to space. I hope to have made a difference in being an example of the design process, the research process. How can we do research that's more inclusive, more reflective of society, and how can that make our technology more useful for a larger demographic than what we currently have? And so, yes, in an ideal world, that's what I would hope to happen.
Indeed. I have no doubt, because with your energy, it's going to happen. So like what we think about, we bring about.
Yes.
So let's just talk a little bit more about, diversity. So far as you talk about in the astrophysics, NASA, that sort of thing. What do you see happening at this stage, versus where it was, shall we say, 60 years ago, and the things that you can see that need work?
Yeah. So I think that there has been an increase, because people like you who've came before us and acknowledging what's happening has allowed us to make action. I think the normalization for people who are like me, where you get to that realization from that curiosity, where it's like, I can pursue this degree. I think we're seeing a lot more people be able to do that at a larger scale. In terms of increasing that, is the people who are currently in the fields doing the work and stuff need to be seen by the students who are in elementary, who are in high school, to be able to see that. But I think that since people have seen, okay, someone looks like me in that department at that school, versus I don't even think that anyone's in that department at that school who looks like me. I think that's what's been the change. And I think that there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, because there are kids who are still held back because of not being surrounded by opportunity, not being surrounded by support and encouragement, because they don't have that. And so I think that the work that can be done is those who hold the privilege of having the degrees, of having the knowledge and opportunities, really have to be intentional about going back. I call this my going back season of
Yeah.
giving back. And, it's different because I'm not in school right now. But if anything that I do this year that I've taken off, to be able to give back would be the best thing that I can do.
Yeah. Definitely. It's kind of like it's giving back and paying it forward. Would you agree?
Yes, I want to pay it forward. That's my thank you to my mentors. What you
Mhm.
poured into me, I was able to dish out for someone else. So, yes, always pay it forward. You have something to pay forward.
Oh, indeed. And that inspires me, when I see I
Yes.
like I said, when I'm an author, but seeing authors such as yourselves and seeing the change that's taken place and
Mhm.
say it encourages me because you know
Yeah.
I've said this on the show before that I grew up in a generation when children's books were
Mhm.
only the words "Further Adventures of Dick and Jane,"
Yes.
and I was wondering, okay, where are the characters who look like me? Now we're talking back in
Right.
the 1950s and early 60s, and well, where are they? But seeing
Exactly.
authors such as yourself and being such an inspiration to kids and stuff, and it's so needed now. There's still an ongoing need. And speaking of that, ah, your next book.
Yes.
You want to know what to tell us about your next book.
Yeah, so my next book on the adventure, I want to talk about other things. So there's ideas like nature and water. And so I really want to, come back down to earth and see what we have here and let's learn about that. But as you know, I like to make a twist to all my books. And so we talk about the science, let's talk about the math. And how do numbers fit into nature? And so that's currently what I'm thinking right now. Adventures with Sideena, numbers in nature, and really providing that opportunity for kids to explore math in a different way. So, yeah.
Sounds like fun. I keep going back to Hidden Figures when I think about Katherine Johnson had this
Uh,
incredible ability for math.
yes.
So when you're talking to your children, about things about the numbers, about math, uh, what is kind of your twist to make it fun, to make it fascinating?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of cool different things that we can take from math. Um, whether it's certain theories or just doing basic math of how many lines do you see in this leaf? Or what does this spiral remind you of in nature? And so just different things like that that can kind of pull different perspectives and how we look at things around us. So, having multiple levels of different types of math so that the younger children can still um, do the math, but also for the older kids to be able to apply what they kind of already know and their curiosity and learn a little bit more.
Oh, so true. I love math when I was growing up.
Yes.
I admit it. I love math when I was growing up, and I love to write.
Yeah.
So, I
Awesome.
because I love what you're bringing to the table so far as space and everything. Now, in that equation, where can parents, you know, continue to inspire the kids? Because you had a set amazing parents. So which
Yes.
there are probably some parents out there they're really not sure how they can encourage their children. What would you advise?
Yeah, well, one thing my parents always remind me when talking to children and their parents is the support of parents is really important.
Mhm.
And so, what I would say to parents are um, even simple searches of STEAM camps. I went to an aviation camp that changed my life and let me develop a mentorship for almost or about 10 years now with a famous astronomer. And so I would say look up STEAM camps um, to see, they have STEAM camps to build a robot. They have math camps if you feel like your children is struggling in any subject. Look up some camps to see how those camps can help them over the summer to maybe catch up or just fill in some of the gaps that they have. Another thing is always encourage them. I think that, kids can tell when when you're not encouraging them, when you're doubting them. They know, they feel just like we know. And so encouraging your kids, if they're struggling, um, talk to the teacher. How can I help? There were times where my parents had to talk to my teacher. What's wrong? Sometimes it's not even about not understanding. Sometimes it's a lot going on. Figure out what your child is thinking about, what's blocking them from being able to retain information, because that's real. Kids go through a lot, and we can't underestimate their experiences when it comes to life. The other thing, make sure you're um, making them read books. Math is really important, but knowing how to read an equation, knowing how to read a writing problem is really important. Sometimes it's not just giving the equation and the numbers. Sometimes it's reading a paragraph and having to come up with that equation. So that's what I would really encourage parents to do, is that it's okay that you don't know um, current resources and stuff, but to start is just a Google search with camps and educational camps, science camps. Take them to the science museum, meet people, network on the behalf of your children, so that when they get to that level, they can network from there.
So true. Are there STEAM camps around the state that you know?
Yeah. Yes, there is. So the camp that I went to, which we're coming up on our 10th anniversary, that is the Twins Cities Ace Academy Aviation Camp. You can find that information on Facebook, Google. They've been on the news and stuff about the camp. So you can look up that. I think that their applications might still be open. That is geared towards high school students. Um, but there are also other camps that even some schools hold that you can look up. STEAM camps in Minneapolis, STEAM camps in Maple Grove, like different things like that, that can provide that information.
Great, because I'm sure there are parents out there that definitely would want to know, and
Yes.
definitely out there to support their kids. So,
Yes.
so now, when I think of astronauts, I thought of like the Gemini program, the Mercury program, the Apollo program, and all those different programs, the Challenger program. So, Sideena, do you see yourself being out there in space at some point?
I can see myself being in space. That's a dream of mine. Whether it's a NASA astronaut or it's a commercial astronaut, I definitely want to go to space. That's a dream of mine. I know the impact that I want to make to inspire the children. I know the impact that I want to make to the research, the industry in terms of research and products and stuff. So I definitely see myself going to space. And if that's something that I set my mind on, then I'm gonna do my best, and I'm gonna let God do the rest. So
That is so true. So for those future astronauts that are out there and they're all among the kids that you see, okay, they're asking, what do I need to do to lay the groundwork so can become an astronaut?
yes, so I get that question all the time.
Yeah, and I'm giving it to you today.
Yes. So when I tell the kids, I tell them, piggybacking off of my remember kind of thing of reading questions and good character. I talk about the education. That is your foundation. And no, you don't have to pursue aerospace engineering to become an astronaut. That is something that I had to learn while I was wanting to pursue and looking at different degrees, because in high school I thought I had to do aerospace engineering, but no, we need all the scientists, we need all the engineers. Everyone has something that they can teach everyone, and a geologist, a biologist, all these different types. So get your degree, go to college. I believe you need a master's level degree. Do other things that impact the community. They want to see leadership, they want to see people who are making a difference. Their skills. You can get your pilot license. And then, but there's different routes. I mean, people take a ton of different routes that can get them there. So if you want to be an astronaut, get your education. And then you can look at the other standards of taking care of yourself physically, taking care of yourself mentally, because space is not an easy environment. So you want to know if you can withstand that environment and what you need help with to be able to withstand that environment.
Yes, I can say because just from what I know is that being in space that takes certain type of stresses on the body, so this good health is imperative.
Yes, absolutely.
Very. So, um, when I was reading your book, I saw something there that kind of stuck with me, and it was this quote that you made. I dedicate this book to young dreamers who are curious about the universe. May this book inspire and fuel your passion to pursue STEAM, reminding you that with curiosity, determination, and perseverance, anything is possible.
Yes. Uh, you know,
So, at what point in that process did this dedication come to you?
I think towards the end when I had the book, but I also thought about it in the beginning too. But towards the end is what I wrote, because once I got that product of my book being completed and being in the moment of, wow, I've gotten to this point. Who do I want this book for? And what do I want them to know, to feel? That's what really made me want to encourage them that no matter what, keep pushing. No matter what, keep being determined. Stay on that goal that you have. Don't let no one push you off the mark of your goal. And so that's what really encouraged me to really push and use those words so that they can remember that you're fully capable. Just keep your eyes on the prize.
Indeed. Eyes on the prize. Yeah, that I know that was a series about the civil rights movement. Did you happen to see that series?
I've seen it.
Mm,
Yeah.
Great. Well, that being said, um, I, I would love to hear some more excerpts from your book.
Yes, absolutely. So I'll get it again. Okay. I think the next, is it possible to read maybe some of my endorsements too?
Yes, by all means. Good. Yes.
Okay. So this is also, the piggybacking off of the people that support you, the people that, and why it's important. So the first person is Michelle Thaller, who is the assistant director of science communications at NASA, one of their NASA centers. And she said, and she's also a very well known, famous astronomer. You can see her on How the Universe Works, which is a show that I wish to be on.
Hey.
But she said, come along for an engaging and scientifically correct trip to space with the amazing Sideena Grace, a real life space scientist. This book makes me smile and reminds me why I fell in love with the universe long ago when I was learning my ABCs. And so for her to say that meant so much to me, because this is right up her alley. She knows all about the space. So for her to acknowledge the accuracy about my book, because sometimes we think, oh, maybe we should make it cartoonish, or but I really wanted to make it accurate because kids can learn things and they're very smart. The next person was my high school teacher, Erin Tyne. She was my English teacher, and the special thing about her is that one time when I was in high school, I think sophomore year, I said, Miss Tyne, I really want to write a book, and she would spend like one day a week editing my book while I typed. And so that was really important to me, that she sacrificed her time after school to spend just an hour with me to look at my book that I wanted to write. And so that was another book. Maybe I'll publish that book. But yeah.
Yeah. Hey.
Maybe, yeah. And then the last one is a wondrous tour of the cosmos and our place within it. Sideena's rising star shines over every page, and it will light up the hearts of children as they explore an alphabet of inspiration. And this was my research advisor when I did research at Harvard. He was one of the best advisors that I had. Very amazing. He's also on How the Universe Works. And so these are amazing people that just really instilled in me the things that I needed to push forward and see who I was. So thank you to them again. Yes. But inside the book, I would say my last page, before the last one actually, is Z is for zero gravity. It's where we can float and be free. It's when nothing holds us down. Hey, that could be me. I really wanted to make kids feel like they were in the book. And so that was something that I tried to make very personal. Hey, you can be floating. And a lot of them want to float. So that was something that makes the kids go like, ooh, that's cool. I want to float. So giving them that inspiration where they're in the inspiration is important.
Oh, that's true. And I saw that we had Michelle, Delicious Delights, was on, said, greetings, Brother W.D. Foster Graham and distinguished guest. So she's sending us her love and clap. Thank you, Michelle, for checking out our show. I say, and definitely we hope that we have brought something in terms of inspiring, something that's uplifting, especially for kids. Especially for the kids. So
yes.
Because when you were talking about that, speaking about, you reminded me of when I was about 9 years old, and my dad took my brother and me outside in the backyard. It's like February. and of course, this is like 1962. So it's like, that was when John Glenn did his orbital things, and he took us outside with a telescope to help us learn about the constellations in the sky. And so when you reminded me of myself as a kid.
Yeah. That's really important because in that memory, you don't forget, and that's why it's so important that parents. It's even the little things that you do that your kids will remember, because they know that you're trying to give them an experience that can really just change their perspective, make them have a good time. Even if they don't realize it when they're little like that, they'll realize it when they're an adult.
That's so true. Another thing I've talked about is, especially when it comes to the books that we write,
Yes.
when we change the narrative, we change the perception. What does that mean to you?
Yes, when we change the narrative, we change the perception. The narrative, what do our kids think? How do they think things work? How do they think things look? If you read books that don't have any characters that look like you will never have a perspective of being in that reality, being in that world. And so the more we center our children, whether it's kids of color, the more they can see themselves in the future, in the inspiration, and the representation. I always say, I was on a panel and they said, what can we change about leadership, or what's something that's really important? And I said, representational mentorship. It's not just about having anybody, because anybody can look at someone and be like, okay, like that's really cool that you're an astronaut. But deep down inside, these kids know when things look like them and when things don't look like them, when things feel relatable and tangible and when they don't. So changing that narrative, changing what they see, will help them change what they can be. And so that's really what I want to do.
Yeah, and I say I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate all that you are doing, most definitely. But so, what do you see so far as what NASA is doing, now and in the future? Where is their focus? Because Decades ago, it was just quick, get somebody on the moon, get them on the moon. We want to beat the
Yeah.
Russians. Let's get this done as quick as possible. But
Yeah,
we're in 2024 now.
absolutely.
What do you see now?
Yeah, I think I see a couple of things. One, I do see the change of technology. We look at the development of the spacesuit and them making it more inclusive. Like, yes, we need to be able to fit a wider range of astronauts, short, tall, different shape kind of thing. So that's something that they've included in their development on top of making it increasing the mobility and things of that nature. The other thing is, yeah, we want to see more representation. And so we want to see a woman go to the moon, and we want to be able to go to Mars and have more diversity and stuff. So I think that right now it's trying to hit those goals of how we can have a woman on the moon, how we can have a person of color go to Mars, things like that. So there are some things that are kind of in the frame of making that kind of change. And so it's really exciting to see that, because I know that a lot of people are finally starting to feel seen and excited, because I mean, it's one thing to work on something and not even feel like it's for you. So I think that that's what NASA is trying to do. I also think that along with NASA are the commercial companies that are trying to also make that change.
Yes, and I'd say all things considered, yes, the change is, as I would say, it's a process.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I could think of like Star Trek, like the original Star Trek, and
Mhm.
on the original Star Trek, you saw Captain Kirk, Mr. Spock, Lieutenant Uhura, uh, Lieutenant Sulu, etc. Uh, seeing as they say a diversity in space.
Mhm.
Um, do you see that do you see that manifesting now?
Yeah, I think that there is an effort of increasing diversity in space, and um, it has different strings attached to it. You got the
Mhm.
research, you got the technology, you got the preparation, and you got the mindset. And so, who we have in the rooms and who we need to have in the rooms, I do see that that's evolving. Like you said, it takes a process, and so, hopefully, the kids that I talk to are a little bit younger, don't necessarily have to. Um, Push as hard as what we're doing now. Hopefully some things will be further along and on
Mhm.
track to making those changes with the diversity and stuff, because space is for all. And we see that with other programs like Space for Humanity, who send people up who are making an impact, who are, whether they're the first person in their culture to go to space, or just different things that can really make space more relatable to us. So I do see those changes, and we have ways to go, but as long as we're on that path, I think that we can get there one day.
Oh, one day, or they say the mind can conceive, it can achieve. At least
Yeah,
that's a quote I've heard before. So we
yeah,
see it in our mind, it manifests in reality.
absolutely.
Now, now for Adventures with Sideena, ABCs of Space, where can our viewers and readers purchase your book?
Yes, you can purchase my book on Amazon. It's available on Amazon, and you can get it and have it delivered to your house or your job, wherever you want it, and it'll be right there. So, and please, please, please leave me a review
Mm.
on Amazon. Reviews are very important, and we want to make sure that this book is being seen. And I've had all positive uh, ratings. Just one little one that wasn't. I don't know where that came from, but that's why it's so important to leave reviews, so that people can actually see the all other 9 5 out of 5s. So yeah, please and support, leave a review, take a picture with the book. I would greatly appreciate that. The more ratings, the higher visibility it will be seen, and the more children we can impact. So thank you.
And thank you for reminding us for our viewers and stuff. See, it's one thing to say, I like your book, but it's
Yeah.
so important to put it into action and put a
Yes,
review there and stuff, because that's another way we support our authors. As
absolutely.
so, so before we close,
Mhm.
I like to say one more excerpt. That's it. 'Cause, yeah, I'm excited about ABCs in space. And so,
Yes, absolutely. Okay, how about you pick a letter and I'll read that?
okay, I like my one of my favorite letters would be S.
S. Okay, awesome. Let's go to S. Okay, S is for spacesuit. It's a suit worn from head to toe. It protects astronauts in space where no air can flow.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
So, Sideena, it has been such a pleasure to have you here on Conversation with Al McFarlane, sharing your stories, especially, bringing a different gift to the table and reminding us to say, hey, we can be anything we want to be.
Exactly.
All we do is to once we see it in our minds, and then we can manifest it into reality. And so that means we are not limited by
Exactly.
anything except ourselves.
Yes, exactly.
And, and so let's reiterate, do your best and let God do the rest.
Amen.
So, hey, this is WD Foster Graham for the book chat day on the Conversation with Al McFarlane. And we look forward to seeing you on the next go round. And thank you once again, Sideena, for being our guest today.
Thank you.